I had acute promyelocytic leukemia, and this was out of the blue. I was completely healthy. I just came back from the US. I was a diabetic on 6 medications with uncontrolled diabetes, severe hypertensive, obese, eating junk foods. No lifestyle. Very bad lifestyle. I used to sleep at 1 o'clock, wake up at 5, do all sorts of things. No exercise, sedentary lifestyle, stuff like that. I decided that if I had to be of use to anybody who helped me or anybody whom I want to help, I need to be first myself in a position to be able to do that. So that made me start thinking of how do I make sure that all of us have vision, all of us have dreams, but only few people have the capability of converting that vision and or a dream into reality.
Hello and welcome to my podcast, The Healing Monk. I am Dr. Suman Das, your host. Before we dive into this interesting episode of today, one request I have. Please do subscribe. Your subscription means a lot to me and my team.
Yeah.
With more and more subscribers, we will be more inspired to get you better and better stories in future. Coming to today's episode, I have a person on board who carries a lot of positive vibe around him. He was the captain of a cricket Ranji team representing the state. From there, he went on to be the leader of one of the largest chain of hospitals of the country, the Apollo Group. During his journey, he also fought a deadly disease like leukemia, a form of cancer, and came victorious. More importantly, he also fought different other health issues and lost 60 kgs from 120 kgs to 60 kg over a small period of time just with diet and habits. Today, we are going to hear from Dr. K. Hari Prasad. We are going to hear about the hacks or the tricks of being a great leader, being a good mentor, and also the commitment to have a healthy life. It's not easy to fight cancer, to fight diabetes and be cured of it, to lose 60 kgs. Definitely, this episode will help you to change your life. He has deleted the word impossible from his dictionary, and he is the author of this book, I Am Possible. Welcome to my show, sir.
Pleasure always. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you very much for accepting my request. And I have seen you from 2010 when I was working as a junior in Apollo Cancer Centers, Hyderabad. And from that time, we always used to see you as a great leader. And it's an opportunity for me to bring out the stories of leadership from you.
Sure. I think first I should congratulate you for taking time off from your professional schedule and doing these shows to create social awareness, create motivation amongst the people, and to let the people know that there's a lot of positivity that can be embraced if they look around. So congratulations to you, and I really hope that this show takes off very well.
So let me start with your passion, that is cricket. So you follow cricket now also?
I follow, but more of international cricket where India is playing than IPL and rest of it, because I think the passion of India playing is much more when you watch than when a IPL match you watch. IPL is more of entertainment and that sort of stuff.
Did you watch the young guy Suryavanshi hitting century in IPL?
Unfortunately, I didn't watch the match, but I saw the highlights. He was brilliant. I think that's another great thing. India is a relatively young country, and when youngsters start doing well, it is a good symptom of where the future lies ahead for the country.
So do you visualize yourself that when you were 14 years, you were quite hitting like him?
Actually, when I was playing cricket, it was more out of passion. And the passion was actually enhanced by the encouragement that I got from the school, which is the Hyderabad Public School, and my parents. So that's how I played cricket at that point of time. But once I got into medicine, I realized that you can't walk on two parallel rail tracks because cricket was never a profession, and I had to take a call whether it was going to be cricket or medicine, and I chose medicine. So but today, in today's world where cricket is a profession by itself, and probably the cricketers make much more money than the biggest doctor in the world, cricket would have been probably an option to choose if it was today.
How do you visualize Mahendra Singh Dhoni?
He's a great man. What he's achieved for the country and what he's done for the country is unbelievable. But I think a lot of people look at him as somebody who's very cool, calm under any stress, or he never gets stressed and never gets ruffled. But actually, a great leader is one who does not allow his inner feelings of stress and ruffle and being excited or depressed show on his face, because that reflects on the rest of the team. I think in that manner, he has a mask on his face, but he too is a human being, and he has all the emotions. But he makes sure that his emotions are not exteriorized in a manner in which they impact the rest of the team in a negative manner. I think that's a great quality in him which everybody can learn.
I'll tell you one thing, sir. I have always visualized the same characters in you. When I was saying, I remember in 2011, I think we had our first JCI inspection. And that time I have seen you the work day in, day out, coming morning 7 o'clock meeting, even evening 9 o'clock having a meeting. And that composer was quite similar to what we see in MS Dhoni.
I think I learned very early in my career that, probably because of cricket, probably because of the environment in the school, where actually it facilitated development of leadership qualities and stuff like that, I realized that a leader has to be somebody who makes sure that the team which he or she is working with, has the best environment to function. And the leader is somebody who facilitates his team to outperform himself. It's not about the team, the leader performing, but it is about facilitating the team to perform. And for that to happen, if the leader is very emotional and gets perturbed with every small thing and blows his head off, the team is going to get demotivated. So I had very early in my career developed this. I mean, even I am a human being. I used to get angry on multiple occasions. And people who work with me for long realize that when I get angry, I stop talking. Because when you talk or when you converse, when you're angry, most often you're likely to say the wrong thing, which is bound to hurt the opposite person, demotivate the opposite person. So I let the phase pass over before I start talking again. And then I realized that that's the best way to do it, because once you cool down and start talking to people, you talk more sense and you talk it in such a way that the other person doesn't get hurt. And the demotivating factor which would have been there when you are angry would turn into a motivating factor when you talk to them once you settle down. So I think that I learned as a mantra very early in my life. And the second mantra which I learned probably from my mentor, Mrs. Sangeeta, was never to be harsh to people, particularly in front of others. It's very common that, managers and leaders start taking people to task in front of a large group of people. That doesn't achieve anything. On the other hand, it demotivates the individual. The individual feels insulted, and it's not a great mindset that you're leaving behind. You do have to pull up people. You do have to let the people know when they make a mistake. But that could be ideally done in a closed room with an individual. It may be a housekeeper, it may be a doctor, it may be a superstar doctor. But ultimately, everybody has that sort of an emotional feeling. So if you were able to do that in a closed room, then the same message that you're passing on has a different impact on the individual than when it would have had when you do it in a group of people in front of the others. So these are small little things which I learned and which stood me good in my journey as a leader at the Apollo hospitals.
So like you said, you mask your anger or you be silent at that time. So tell me certain hacks that you would suggest that we can actually overcome that emotional barrier whenever we face such issues.
Yeah, everybody's life is not smooth. Everybody's life is not filled with only positive things. There are going to be situations which are not very good. There are going to be bad situations. There are going to be good situations. I think a balanced person knows how to handle a good situation and a bad situation. And getting out of mind and blowing yourself off when you have a great situation and you succeed is one emotion. And similarly, getting depressed and demotivated when you have a bad situation is the other extreme of the emotions. I think a balance between the two is very critical. It's not that you are not thinking about it. You will think about it. But I think the most important part of it is how do you internalize it and how do you externalize it? Both are equally important. How do you internalize it is basically all good things. I always believe in this, that all good things come to an end with something which is not necessarily good. Similarly, all bad things have to end at some point of time. And when they change to good things. So with that sort of a mindset, I always believed that when I was in a difficult situation, I always felt that if you hang around, then you're waiting for the good situation to happen, which is bound to happen sooner or later.
That's like facing the tough situation rather than escaping it is the
Absolutely.
best that you can.
Absolutely.
You're at least prepared.
Absolutely.
We are going to the next level. And very nice thing that you have told about having a balanced life for a leader, like balance between work and family, balanced between being compassionate and also at the same time you be firm.
Yeah.
Balance between letting it happen and making it happen. So all these things, this balance thing, is very, very nice that you have told, sir.
And another thing is, again, I learned this also very soon. Lot of times, I think I learned this from Dr. Reddy and Mrs. Sangeeta, was to make the team feel that they have done it rather than you have done it. So
Taking responsibility.
You take responsibility as a leader to get things done. But if the team feels that the job is theirs, it is their idea, their plan, which they are executing, then your job as a leader is done. Because once they feel that the ownership lies with the team, then your job is done because they are taking the ownership and they are getting it done. And I think giving credit to them whenever it is due and making sure that they feel that the work done is something which they did by themselves, not because a leader told them to do it, but because they did it, they wanted to do it. That creates a huge impact on the entire environment. It creates an impact beyond the team that you're working with. It creates an impact all around the organization. And I think that's another learning which I really feel that it helped me in multiple situations during my journey.
So it's like the asset is not the company, it is the people
Absolutely.
who are working in the company.
Absolutely.
And value creation.
Absolutely. And people are talking about AI and that AI, this AI, which is going to change the world. I strongly believe that in healthcare, at least, the human touch is not going to go anywhere. It is always going to depend on human touch. And what AI can do is it can form a layer where it will increase the efficiency of what happens.
Facilitate.
But it can just improve the efficiency. It can make in errors lesser. It can improve the better utilization of resources and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the human touch is never going to go away. And I think not just healthcare leadership, but leadership across all sectors, that human touch is of immense value and creates a different set of leaders as compared to anybody else.
In being a leader in a healthcare industry, we are kind of standing on a sword, or that is like we are dealing with life. So how do you balance that compassion being a doctor? At the same time, you also have to look at the metrics of the organization. How do you balance that?
Yeah. Again, I believe right from the beginning that as a healthcare professional, I have 4 stakeholders. The first stakeholder is the patient. The second stakeholder is the people whom we are working with. That is the doctors, the nurses, the technicians, the paramedics, everybody else. The third stakeholder is the investors. That is the people who have invested money into the organization. And the fourth stakeholder is the community that we exist in. Now, if you are contributing to all the 4 stakeholders with the priority being patient first, then you will always do the right thing. When you're taking a decision, if you make sure that you're putting the patient first, making sure that the employees are taken care of, making sure that the investors are taken care of, and at the end of the day, it has a larger impact on the community, then your decision is right. So as an administrator, there were almost every day was filled with, it's a very dynamic environment, healthcare area, because no 2 patients are similar. Similarly, no 2 doctors are similar. And you're also dealing with a wide socioeconomic group of people who work with you. Like you have the highly skilled and professional doctors who are very, very qualified. And then you have the housekeepers and security. And unless from the security to this highly skilled doctor, everybody provides the same level of care, the patient is not going to go back home happy and safe. So to make sure that the entire chain works in a synchronous mode and make sure that they're delivering for the patient is the real challenge. And I think that it can only happen when there are systems, processes, everything can come into picture and you can write down beautiful flow charts and all that. But at the end of the day, I think it is about the culture and the motivation which the employee is working for, and the sense of belonging the individual has for the organization, which makes a difference for them to deliver. And I think the most important thing is the respect that they have from the organization. The leadership needs to respect every single employee of the organization. And that makes a huge difference in the way they respect and they serve the patients.
Why we find many doctors getting into hospital business kind of thing, but not all of them are good administrators?
Yeah, I think administration is a bit of a different ball game. The reason being, as a doctor, you're responsible for what you are doing. But as an administrator, you have to take responsibility for everything that is happening in the organization. And unless you have the mindset to be able to take the responsibility for that is happening, you may not be doing it yourself, but somebody else may be doing it. But you are responsible for the outcome of what somebody else is doing. If you don't have the mindset to take responsibility of that, then you cannot become an administrator. Well, the doctors do their own job very well, and they are very, very clear about the outcomes that they produce and their stuff. They are great doctors. But it is not necessary that great doctors can be great administrators and vice versa. But I genuinely believe that a great doctor who has got a clinical background, who has the mindset of a good administrator, will be the best hospital administrator that we can have.
I believe like we have been the main common thing between you and me is Apollo hospitals. And the best thing that I liked about Apollo from the first day of joining is the structure, and which you are also a part of building that, because you started working when there were only 3 hospitals.
Yeah.
Now there are more than 75 across the globe.
Yeah.
And so for any hospital, building of that structure. So how you got into that, and how it is such a stable structure is built up in this present world of turmoil? Because we can understand that many hospitals, they are not able to maintain the what you call quality business or the care, because everything is there's again a balance that has to be done. So how exactly you were a part of it, and you did a great job?
Actually, it comes from the top. Dr. Reddy is the person who is responsible for the entire culture of the organization. And I remember there was never an occasion, I must have gone to him with proposals, with new investment opportunities, new initiatives, or any number of times. I've never heard a no from him. He always used to encourage people to do new things, and he always encouraged people to do new things. On many occasions, we see that, when I see outside the Apollo environment in some of the organizations, doing something new or something different is always a challenge, because the promoters or the top people believe that when we are doing so well for so many years doing it the same way, why should we change? But Dr. Reddy was never like that. He always believed that doing something new brings in innovation, and innovation improves things. And so there was never an occasion where he said no. And the second important thing was what I learned from Mrs. Sangeeta. When you're doing something, whatever level of leadership, if you're doing 10 things, there are at least 2 or 3 things which are going to go wrong, which you would not succeed in, which you would fail in. I think supporting the person when things go wrong, rather than praising the person when things go right, is a huge differentiator in a leadership quality. I think one of the important things which helped me was when things went wrong, she was always behind my back and she said, doesn't matter, go ahead and do the next thing and you will be happy that you succeeded on it. I think that's another quality which I learned, and I think that is basically something which helps me mentor a lot of people now. That, I tell them openly that if you succeed, it is yours. If something goes wrong, I am responsible for it. So that's something which is again a very important leadership quality. These are all soft sides of leadership. You may learn the different things in MBAs and in management schools and things like that, but the softer sides of it, the softer skills, you'll actually learn on hand from people whom you see above you and whom you have worked with, or people who are working with you. And a lot of times I've learned things from people who are executives, who are even at the level of supervisors. I've learned things from them because they know their job better. Suppose there's a housekeeping supervisor, he knows his job better. If I am trying to tell him what to do, that may not be the right thing. If I am trying to tell him that we need to get this done, how is it best done, then he will come up with a solution. I think that involvement in creating a two-way traffic of communication is very, very important for you, especially in healthcare and where it is a large organization and it is a growing organization.
In fact, in one of your interviews, you told that I am an open-minded learner, and I like that thing.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important to have that openness to learn from each and every person that we come across.
Absolutely.
You started the revolution of emergency medicine in the country. Maybe it was in 2004? Or?
No, it was in 19. I joined Apollo because Dr. Reddy said, actually, as you know, Dr. Reddy came back from US because he wanted to bring back to India whatever was available in the world. And he called me and said, emergency is a specialty which doesn't exist in India, and many people are dying because they're not reaching hospitals on time and not getting optimal emergency care. So we should start emergency. That's how I joined Apollo. And when we started the process, I realized that there was no trained emergency physician, there was no trained emergency nurse, there were no paramedics, nothing absolutely. And then there were not even ambulances which could carry sick patients. Most of the ambulances used to be carrying dead bodies all the time. So what we did at that point of time was, I was lucky to have 6 colleagues who were all anesthesiologists who joined me, and we started the first accident and emergency hospital here in Hyderabad, the small one, a 50-bedded one. And we were the anesthetists, we were the intensivists, we were the emergency physicians, we were the ambulance paramedics, we were the nurses, we did everything. And that was a runaway success because that was the first of its kind. And from there, we started training people. And unfortunately, India did not have training programs for emergency. So we actually took help from some of the international organizations, both from US and UK. And there were a lot of Indian emergency physicians who were settled in different parts of the world who helped us to train people to get into the specialty. And today, I'm actually very proud that emergency medicine is one of the most sought after specialties in the country. And that too, probably the youngest and probably the most sought after in 25, 30 years. I don't think any other specialty has achieved that this thing.
Another thing from here I can relate from the leadership point of view is the vision. That one is Dr. Reddy, that he saw in you, and also the vision of having emergency medicine like in 1990s, now it is 2025 and it is going further. So that's vision, having a...
That is something which is, all of us have vision, all of us have dreams, but only few people have the capability of converting that vision and or a dream into reality. And Dr. Reddy is one such person. And today, if Apollo is what it is, and when he started off, it must have been a dream for him. He would never have himself imagined that he's going to create what he's created today. So I think it is not just the vision, it is the ability to convert the vision into a reality. That is very, very critical. And that takes a lot of perseverance, persistence, sacrifices, and it also depends on the teams that you choose and the independence you give to the teams and how you facilitate the teams to perform. So I think he put all these things together, and that's the reason what Apollo is what it is today.
So there is a saying that comes to my mind is ideation without execution is nothing but a delusion.
Absolutely.
So sir, coming to your life, when you were weighing 120 kgs, completely diabetic, and lot of other health issues, habits. So what exactly happened that you thought that, no, I need to change now?
Actually, as you know, I had acute promyelocytic leukemia. And this was out of the blue. I was completely healthy. I just came back from the US. And being a diabetic, my secretary used to get a blood sugar done. So she told me, come fasting the next day. So I began fasting. And when I gave the blood, about an hour later, the phlebotomist called me and said, sir, I took 2 ml of additional blood. What should I do with it? Should I get any other test? I said, just 2 ml of blood, throw it away. Then about another hour later, I got a call from the lab. The hematologist called me and said, please come to the lab. And I thought there was some problem there and there was some firefighting to be done. And so I went to the lab. Everything was fine. Everybody was doing their work. And this hematologist was sitting in her room. And when I went in and said, yes, what is it? She refused to look at me, and she looked very somber. And she didn't talk a word. Then after a few minutes, hemato-oncologist walked into the room.
Dr. Padmaja.
Dr. Padmaja, who had joined about 6 months or 1 year earlier, walked into the room and said, doctor, it looks like you have some sort of a problem in your blood and we need to do a bone marrow test to get it confirmed. I said, what problem? He said, there are some abnormal cells which are suggestive of leukemia. I said, I can't be having it because I have no symptoms. I just came back from the US. I'm full healthy. Then she said, no, we have to get it done. You come back tomorrow morning fasting and we'll do it under anesthesia. I must have given anesthesia for thousands of bone marrow transplants and I know bone marrow aspiration. So I know how painful it is. But I was in such state of denial that, I said, no, do it now under local anesthesia. And they said, no, sir, it is very painful. I said, nothing doing, please do it now. Because it was me and their boss, they couldn't say no. So they did it under local anesthesia, and a couple of hours later, they confirmed it was APML. And after that, I was in the hospital for the induction phase of treatment. And during that phase, one of the things which kept me going was Mr. Sangeeta actually organized the entire office setup in my room. I had a virtual office in my room, and I continued to work. And the entire hospital employees, colleagues, doctors, my own family, everybody, responded and made sure that apart from the treatment that Padmaja was doing, they made sure that I was mentally okay, and that was a very important part of treatment. You are an oncologist, so you understand the psychological aspect of cancer, but I'm not too sure how many of the patients really have an opportunity to get that psychological strength and counseling. So I was so thrilled, and I never felt like, all the 18 months of treatment I went through, I never felt low at any point of time. And then at the end of which I was sat down thinking and contemplating on, just recounting what happened. And then I realized that love and affection that I got from the people from all over was just, unbelievable. And I had a responsibility towards them, and I had to give it back to them. So I had this question, habit of questioning myself. So the first question which came to my mind was, what can stop me from giving back to them? I was a diabetic on 6 medications with uncontrolled diabetes, severe hypertensive, obese, eating junk foods, no lifestyle, very bad lifestyle. I used to sleep at 1 o'clock, wake up at 5, do all sorts of things, no exercise, sedentary lifestyle, and stuff like that. So I knew that, I was a very right candidate for an MI or a stroke at any point of time. So I decided that if I had to be of use to anybody who helped me or anybody whom I want to help, I need to be first myself in a position to be able to do that. So that made me start thinking of how do I make sure that I get over the risk factors that were involved. And that's when I changed my lifestyle. And I did not, to be very honest, even till today, did not have a coach or did not have any dietitian or anybody telling me what to do. I did my own research, because at the end of the day, I believe that if I wanted to do something on a long-term manner, it has to be something which I wanted to do.
Can you explain what exactly you did?
Yeah. So first thing I did was I made sure that I had dinner before 7 p.m. in the night, and I was asleep by 9 o'clock. I still continue to do that. And I'm in the gym by 5:30. I do gym for about 90 minutes, both cardio and weights. And then that is about the physical activity. And I never wait for, a party or so partying went out of the system. The second thing was, I made sure that the diet I didn't starve at any point of time. I didn't get into any of this intermittent fasting, keto diet or anything. But I made sure that it was a low carb and a high protein diet. That still continues. And the third thing was, which I followed as a principle, was nothing in between meals. No snacking in between meals, nothing in between meals. That's something which I follow as a principle. And these are 3 or 4 things along with lifestyle changes which really helped me. And it took me about, the first 15, 20 kgs was relatively easier to lose. But after that, it became more and more difficult. And
Total, you lost 60 kgs.
I lost 60 kgs. And now maintaining it is becoming even more difficult than actually losing it. But I think the fear of gaining weight again keeps you going, and it's become a part of life now. Now today, if I don't go to the gym for a day, I feel that something is wrong in that particular day. So once it becomes a part of your daily routine and it becomes a part of your life, it becomes very difficult to deviate from it. So I really believe that lifestyle changes, which includes diet, exercise and all, can go a long way in making sure that you are actually be able to be more active, more contributory to both your family, your society, your community, your job, and you actually perform much better when you're in that state of mind.
Do you think that by the time you realized you were delayed by almost 10 to 20 years, maybe you should have done that?
I think I never thought about it, but I always believe that sometime is better than never. Even later is better than never. But I'm happy that I started off at that point of time. Yes, because of diabetes, I got diabetic neuropathy, and it's an irreversible thing. But fortunately for me, for the last 4 years, I've not been on any diabetic medication, and my HbA1c is between 4.8 and 5.2 without any medication. So, but the thing is, had I done it before, I would not have probably got the diabetic neuropathy, which I still suffer from. So that is something which, I think one of the things which we need to make sure, at least for the younger generation, which has got into a lot of lifestyles which are not appropriate, is to make sure that they understand the importance of lifestyle. It may not impact them at that point of time, but at some point of time in their life, it's going to impact them in a negative manner.
It's like a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
So today we take and we get the impact after many years.
Yeah.
What was the register? Because suppose someone wants to change his lifestyle, the first thing that comes from the inner self, I can't do this, or I am having pain, I am having this, all that comes. So what exactly came to you and how you fought it?
See, the biggest thing is I never had any goal in mind in terms of weight or in terms of I should be 60 kgs or 50 kgs, or I never had that goal in mind. My goal in mind was I am leading a non-healthy lifestyle. I want to lead a healthy lifestyle from here on, and this is my healthy lifestyle. So I just made that transition, and everything followed after that. Now, if you set a goal, and if I had set a goal in mind being 120 kgs plus, that I want to be 62 or 60 kgs in 2 years' time, I probably would have given up somewhere in between. But my thing was not about losing weight. It was about changing the lifestyle and reducing the risk factors. So the biggest motivation for me was every time I did my HbA1c, and my endocrinologist, Dr. Mehrotra, used to go reduce the medicine. That was the bigger motivation. And the day when Dr. Mehrotra said, "You're not a diabetic, you don't need any more medications," that was like a big victory for me. So I think it is those goals which keep coming, and those outcomes which keep coming, which keeps you motivated. So it's not proper. I mean, it would be probably demotivating to set unrealistic goals and then feel that defeated at some point of time and give up. One of the important things is to be very practical about what you're doing and make sure that you persist with what you're doing. You yourself can be your enemy at the end of the day if you give up.
So like we do running. So my coach says, don't set up a particular goal. Because once you suppose set up a goal like I'll run 5 kilometers, I'll run a full marathon. The day you complete that goal, after that you lose the motivation.
Motivation, correct.
Rather than that, you just keep in mind that you keep on running.
Yeah.
That I want to run every day. So that's a very good thing.
Absolutely.
So one thing I understand from your journey was that you were diagnosed with the APML. It was a incident, like incidentally. Okay. So how important do you feel that preventive healthcare in India exists, and why people neglect that?
See, I think the mindset of a human being is I'm never going to fall sick. Somebody else is going to fall sick. That's the usual mindset. And because of that mindset, we don't pay enough attention to the preventive aspect of it. Today, we are living in a world with genome sequencing and a lot of things that are happening. We can actually predict disease. We can tell you, as you know, we can tell people who is more predisposed to get a particular form of disease, and preventive measures can be taken for that. Suppose somebody has had a family history of breast cancer, you can actually do markers and say who is more likely in that family to get a breast cancer and take preventive measures. But unfortunately, that is not yet coming. And another sad thing in this country is there's a lot of advertisement going on as preventive healthcare, where they do a laundry list of tests and they expect that to be the preventive healthcare. But unfortunately, no two human beings are different. And the same laundry list of tests for every individual are not going to be useful for anybody. They're just academic in nature. So I think preventive healthcare in all its becomes very important that it is personalized, It is individualized and it is done for you as an individual rather than a group of tests which is done for everybody else. And when it is done in that manner, I think you would be saving a lot of time, effort, money, and resources in actually falling sick and trying to get treated for that sickness.
You once told about incentivizing preventive healthcare. So, how exactly do you suggest that we can incentivize that?
Yeah. Now, one of the things is, apart from personal benefits, everybody is looking for an incentive. Somebody is working, they're looking for a bonus, they're looking for an increment or something like that. I think there needs to be some incentive which is built in as a system in the country towards which pushes people, which encourages people to take up wellness as an initiative for themselves. It could be as simple as a lower insurance premium. It could be as simple as if somebody is not sick and is taking care of his health. Normally what we see is every year the insurance premium of an individual keeps going up. But when somebody is making an effort to keep himself well and is not use the insurance premium, why should it go up? Why can't you incentivize such people to actually, by reducing the insurance premium and making sure that he continues to keep well? Because that's good for the insurance company also. That's good for the community. So I think such measures should be taken at an individual level. And at an institutional level, I think Dr. Reddy did a great thing. He made sure that every employee across the organization had a preventive health check. And you would not believe some of the results. At least we had 8 to 9% of the employees above the age of 40 knowing that they are diabetic for the first time in their life out of their health check, having been working in a healthcare institution. And then he didn't stop at that. He said there needs to be an intervention. So the doctors used to take care of them and whoever had any issues. And I know for sure that one employee had a severe hypertension, severe diabetes, and angina. And he was asked to take care of himself. The doctor multiple times asked him to come, but he didn't. He refused. And I remember him being brought to the hospital within 3 months of that preventive health check. So that's how important it is. So I think at an organizational level also, there should be, more incentives to keep the workforce healthy, because it's not just about keeping the workforce healthy. It has a huge economic impact on the organization because absenteeism comes down, productivity grows up, and then it has a huge socioeconomic impact on the community. Most of the times, the people who are working are the sole bread earners for the family back home. Now, if this fellow falls sick or something happens to this fellow, the entire family is suffering. So it has a huge social economic impact on the community also. So I think organizations should spend more time and resources on the wellness of the individual, rather than a lot of organizations are spending on treating individuals who fall sick. If they use some of that money towards keeping the workforce healthy, I think that's a great incentive for not just the individual, their families, but for the organization also.
Suppose, sir, the 20-year of yourself comes into your chamber in the present day. What advice would you give him?
A 20-year-old guy, coming into my chamber, I would first tell him to roll up his sleeves, go to the shop floor, dirty his hands there, and start from there. Irrespective of what your education is, what your qualification is, you, especially in a healthcare scenario, you need to understand right from the bottom what happens. It's right from, let's say, how vegetables which come into a hospital are actually clean, how vegetables are preserved, because that you're serving that to the patient, and a lot of your patients are immunocompromised patients. A little bit of thing going wrong in just cleaning a vegetable could mean a life or death for an individual patient in the hospital. So I think as a youngster walking into a hospital, you need to be exposed and you should be aware of every single small little process that happens in the hospital, which is aimed at making sure that the patient gets well quickly and goes home safely. I think that is the advice that I give. I would always give a youngster who's, he may come out from the best of the management colleges in the country, or he may come out from any of the institutions. But my advice is start from the rock bottom and then come up.
And how important is maintaining the work to life balance?
It is very important. The reason why it is important is, at the end of the day, there were situations when, especially when it was difficult situations in the hospital, we had quite a few. It's not that being in a hospital, there are plenty of situations, like COVID was a great example. In the first wave of COVID, nobody knew what was happening. And we had a responsibility of making sure that we were taking care of COVID patients. We had the responsibility of making sure that we were protecting our own employees from COVID, who were actually, while the rest of the world was shutting themselves in their houses, it was the healthcare workers who were coming out and facing COVID in this thing. And third thing, nobody knew what was happening in with COVID. Nobody knew what was the right thing. So we had to keep our eyes, ears open and to the rest of the world and see what are the best things that are happening and make sure that we have access to it. That was about the first wave. In the second wave, there was so much shortage of infrastructure that, I myself had COVID during the second phase, and my phone would never stop ringing. It would either be a call from a minister, a police officer, a friend, or somebody for a bed in some hospital in across the Apollo system, or some of our hospitals calling in saying, I have 100 patients on oxygen, but my oxygen will last only 2 hours. I need help in getting more oxygen. Or somebody saying, I don't have this drug, I need it urgently for this patient. So it was a big task to make sure that we were there for the patients. And during those circumstances, I think unless your family, work balance is proper, you would not be able to respond to your work responsibilities appropriately. And this is best seen when you have stress at work. A person whose family life and work balance is good performs extremely well when there is stress at work and there's a challenge at work and there's a problem at work. But when there's balance is lacking, then he suffers at both the ends and he becomes a psychological wreck and a non-performer. So I think that's a huge thing, and I think that's a great question.
Before we end, one thing I always noticed in you is your mental strength. So what 3 things that you do to maintain a proper composure of mind when you face the situations?
Yes. I think the first thing I look for, I'm a little restless internally, even there is a situation which comes up. Because I'm always looking at what is the right solution for the situation. Till the point I come to a stage where I know that this is the right solution, I'm a little restless in myself, although I don't express it out. Now, once I know that this is the right solution, then the restlessness disappears. And my only task is to make sure that that solution is implemented appropriately to overcome the challenge. I think that is in a process or a journey which people learn over a period of time. If you remain hassled and if you remain, restless, if you remain agitated, then you're not thinking right. You're not thinking about the solution. You're thinking about the problem. I think the biggest thing to learn is to think more about the solution rather than the problem itself. That will make you stronger, because that will, at the end of the day, show you light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, you're always looking into darkness, which is a problem.
Yeah. It was so nice talking to you, and I'm sure we have almost covered the entire leadership coaching during this, and I'm sure our viewers will be very, very happy to learn from you. And it's true, you have written the book and you have named it correctly, I Am Possible, because that thing is something which everyone cannot think about. And you have fought the denial while being diagnosed with cancer, then fought the overweight. You have fought such bad situations in the workplace and always come out victorious. And it has been a great journey, and thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure talking to you. And I really hope that, what you're trying to do, you achieve your goal on this aspect. You're already a great oncologist, but I think this is a great social move that you've taken up. And I really hope that it really becomes big.
If I tell you honestly, I have not kept any goal or a target for this. Yes, I have started it and I'm liking it. Like I'm talking to you, I've learned a lot of things from you. And many of them I'll try to implement in my own life. And that is how this podcast journey is. And thank you very much. I hope I'll kind of continue it long.
Sure, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching till the end of this exciting episode. And do subscribe, do share it with few of your friends. And thank you very much.